Welcome to the program today. My name is Mano Gonzalez, and I'm here with an Archaeology Update Part 2 with Aaron Lipkin. Welcome, Aaron.
Shalom, shalom. Blessings from Israel.
Well, last time, Aaron, we had discussed the cistern that you found at Joshua's altar, and that was an incredible find, and really how you guys got to explore it. That was really neat. But we have been talking over the past couple months about some other exciting, really, I would say super exciting things that you have found there. And so now you have the opportunity to reveal to the public this inscription or this writing that you found, which we know is completely and very much rare. Share. Let's talk about it.
Okay. So before we go further into that, I just want to give a very short background. Many of our viewers heard me speak about the last 70 years of the academic world setting the tone that the Bible is a fairy tale and that the stories there never really happened, that the Bible was invented during the time of King Josiah in the year 700 BC. And, all the stories about Genesis through, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, all of these books could not have happened because the Israelites were illiterate, because the Israelites never really conquered Canaan. They actually came from Canaanite nations and ran away to the hills from the Canaanite cities. There was this big communist Israelite revolution against the Canaanite overlords. There were different theories that were going around, but the bottom line was that the Bible is not historical, that the events there never really happened. And my fight, when I go to churches, when I appear on TV and radio stations, my fight is to bring the archaeological evidence forth to show that the Bible is describing real historical evidence and that the Bible is credible. And so, again, one of those claims is that the academic claims of the minimalist school of thought is that, one, the Israelites, the story about Mount Ebal and the ceremony of the blessings and the curses never really happened, that the Israelites never really entered Canaan, and that the Israelites were illiterate. They couldn't read or write, and therefore they couldn't write or read the Bible that was given to them on Mount Sinai and later on was revered during the time of Joshua, the Judges, Samuel, King David, King Solomon. That's the view in the academic world. And suddenly, we come to Mount Ebal, and Adam Zertal finds this amazing Israelite altar on the slopes of Mount Ebal, just as the Bible describes. And this is, I would say, the first slap on the face to the academic world. And but the problem is that Adam Zertal did not find any type of writing. There was nothing that would say clearly that the altar is Israelite. We could only learn from the type of bones that were found in the altar, that there were no pig bones or horse bones or anything that you would find in a Philistine or a Canaanite site. Israelite sites have very clear bone composition for animals. And so you could learn from that. You could learn from the way the altar was built, the architecture of the altar. Everything was, I would say, assuming or secondhand. But there was no writing found. And archaeologists really like writing. When you go to Egypt, the ancient Egyptians, they were obsessed with writing. Okay, you have hieroglyphs everywhere describing that pharaoh and that goddess and that god, and there's so much writing. But when you come to the Israelite sites, there's no writing, and that's why archaeologists thought that the Israelites were illiterate. The fact that Israelites wrote on leather scrolls that fragment and then decompose and disappear was not important. The agenda was important. The agenda was that the Bible is a fairy tale. And so when you find an Israelite site and you find writing, that's mind-blowing.
Yep.
And And now we're coming to the main point. Joshua's altar was not researched since the 1980s. And, one day I spoke to an archaeologist, an American archaeologist called Dr. Scott Stripling. And I said, Scott, we have to do something. We cannot leave this site, to desolation. We have to continue the research. And, we spoke to the Shomron, the Samaria municipality. And what we did was we arranged for some of the archaeological dump from the 1980s to be transferred to a safe location. Yeah. And Scott Stripling came with his crew to do something that Professor Adam Zertal did not do in the 1980s. We wet sifted the materials, and we used a metal detector to look for things that Adam Zertal missed in the 1980s. And one day, the metal detector beeped. And we found something very interesting that at first looked like, a piece of stone or something like that. But when we cleaned it, we saw that it was a square-shaped metal of some sort, this big. And we cleaned it and we saw that it looked kind of like a lead tablet of some sort.
Okay.
The lead tablet was sent to the Hebrew University in Jerusalem, and they tried to open it up. It was this type of metal that was bent
on itself.
It was bent on itself, exactly. They tried to open it to see if there's something inside, and it started crumbling. So they stopped, and what we did was we tried to look for a technology of some sort, something with radiation that would penetrate the lead tablet without actually physically opening it. And we found that technology at the Academy of Sciences in Prague, in Europe. And one of our crew members took the lead tablet to the Academy of Science. They used that technology. And just recently, we received the first results. And they're amazing. Because for the first time, we have writing. And people should understand that having writing in a site that was used during the Iron Age period, the early Iron Age period, is a game changer. Now, the more time passed, the more the results became clearer. Ancient Hebrew writing was identified inside that lead tablet. Specifically, the first letters that came up were the letters Aleph and Kaf, or the equivalent of A and K in English. And we just got more results the last few days. Unfortunately, I cannot share them because I was sworn not to.
Fair enough.
But I can't say that more letters were identified, ancient Hebrew letters, and they could actually even identify the first word.
Oh, wow.
And I can't say more than that. Maybe I'll tell you after this recording. But the first word is a very important word.
Now, this is, to be specific, this is in the ancient Paleo Hebrew script, right? Not the square script that comes later.
Correct. I cannot say more than that.
Fair enough.
Again, I will share this privately with you later on. But this is Paleo Hebrew, or Proto-Canaanite, as other people also call it. And the more, because this is such a game changer, because this is, I would call a nuclear atomic archaeological bomb, we need more experts to look at those results and give their views and their thoughts, because the implications of finding ancient Hebrew letters inside that lead tablet are enormous. And I'm so privileged and blessed to be part of the crew that found it. And so, more updates to come. But it just shows how important that site is, and to think how much more is there to be found.
Yeah. It's so true when you think about the credibility of the Bible. And I mean, that's one of the reasons I love archaeology myself, is to see and fulfilled prophecy. Same thing, when you think about all the prophecies in the Old Testament being fulfilled in so many ways. The credibility, God alone is outside of time. And so it's worthy of looking at these things. And I mean, the range, people don't know exactly, but the range is 1% to 5% of everything has been uncovered. The rest of it, 95% plus, is still underground. So how much more knowledge and evidence is there to show the reliability of Scripture to be discovered? That's what makes it exciting.
Right. And we have a big problem because Israel is one of the most ancient lands in the world. Human history started here. And there are so many historical sites, archaeological sites everywhere. And Israel cannot make sure that everything is protected and that everything is researched. And you're right. I mean, you take a place like, this Israelite city that was found at the Ebal Valley, where King David fought Goliath, place called Tel Kiafa. And, an archaeologist works there for many excavation seasons, but like you say, they only excavate about, maybe 8 to 10% of the site itself. And you always think, what's left to be found. Maybe if he only continued another feet or two to the left or to the right, he would have found, something amazing. So you never really, we can't even grasp what's laying under the ground, under the rubble to be found. But we do know that there are certain sites that are important sites. And if Joshua's altar, the site of Joshua's altar was used for so many years for worshiping reasons, and there had to be some permanent presence of priesthood, then there has to be more writing there. There has to be more valuable artifacts to be found. And, these sites have to be protected. These sites have to be, the research has to continue there. And so, we really hope that first of all, Israel will do whatever it can to protect ancient sites, but specifically sites like Joshua's altar, like Sebastia, which is the ancient capital of the northern kingdom that was split from Judah during the time of King Rehoboam, after King Solomon. There are certain sites that have to be taken care of, and please, if anyone is watching us, pray for the safety of our Judeo-Christian biblical heritage sites. This is very important for all of us. Not because we give so much importance to the sites. We have a very pure belief in God, but it's important for our children and our grandchildren to be able to come here and connect to the places where the biblical stories happened, where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob walked, and where all the miracles that we read about in the Bible happened. If we don't cherish, if we don't guard and develop those places, then we'll have people who are not Bible believers, like the Muslims, who want to erase that history, and it won't be here for our next generations to be part of it and to feel. And I have to add something, where we're going to talk about this online course that I'm doing about ancient Israelite worshiping sites, and it's mostly going to talk about archaeology of those sites, but the other motive that I have is to speak about prophecy, to speak about the importance of those sites as the places where the Israelites encountered God, where God's voice was heard by prophets. And I really feel that it's something that people lack today. The vacuum that we have by not being in connection with God, hearing him like Samuel heard him, like King David heard him, like Moses heard him. And those sites that we're going to cover in the online course are sites that prophecy was given, places where prophets heard God speaking to them. And we're going to talk about that more, but these heritage sites that we're talking about are places that God's presence was in. And that's very exciting for a Bible believer.
Aaron, you had mentioned a little bit earlier about this online course, and which we talked about in the part one of the program. So kind of tell us what you want to do with this online course.
What we're going to do is we're going to do an online course starting on March 6th. And we have an amazing team of speakers, doctors and professors of archaeology, Jews and Christians, that are going to talk about those sites and the importance of those sites to the worshiping habits of the Israelites during the time of the Old Testament before King David. It's going to be a very, very amazing course, and I really invite everyone to join us. They could find more information at BibleLandStudy.com. And this is actually the second online course we're doing. We just finished an online course about Joshua's altar. And one of the speakers in that online course is going to be Dr. Scott Stripling, who found the lead tablet that we mentioned earlier. And maybe I could ask him to share more information on his session on Shiloh about the lead tablet. That's going to be on March 20th. He's going to speak about Shiloh, where he is excavating currently. So this is going to be an amazing online course for Bible lovers, and I really invite everyone to join.
Yeah. Well, Aaron, I really appreciate your time. I hope that people do go and learn more about the history of worshiping God between the time of Joshua and David and Solomon. So that certainly is a good idea. We'll have certainly the website up for people to see. And but again, as always, it's great to have you as our international correspondent on the ground there.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
Well, if you've been watching this, we appreciate your prayers, certainly for the land of Israel and for the people of Israel. And again, as Aaron mentioned, just for the protection of these sites. They are a heritage. They really do connect us, those who believe in the truthfulness of the Bible. They connect us with the land. They connect us with the narrative that's found there. And so it points us, again, to the reliability of Scripture. So we appreciate you watching this archaeology update, and we look forward to seeing you next time.